Hillary wins big in Nevada, and Senator Bernie Sanders supporters are left viewing a much narrower path to the Democratic nomination for him. And on the Republican side, the race seems to be down to three main contenders after former Florida Governor Jeb Bush, once favored to win his party's nomination, was forced to suspend his presidential campaign. Let's get some perspective on all of this from Norm Coleman, the former U.S. Republican senator from Minnesota. He is now chairman of the American Action Network, which says it promotes center-right solutions to national challenges. He also happens to know a thing or two about waging a political campaign against a celebrity such as Donald Trump. In 2008, he lost his Senate re-election bid to former Saturday Night Live star, comic and commentator, Democrat Al Franken. Senator Coleman joins me from Washington, D.C. You endorsed Jeb Bush for president. You said when you were proud to have been part of his team that he's a class act. What went wrong?
Well, this is an election, I think, Larry, where emotion triumphed experience. Jeb had the experience, there's no doubt about it. I think he was best prepared to be commander-in-chief. He's not in the race. I've endorsed Marco Rubio. I have no doubt that Marco Rubio will be a great commander-in-chief. But this was a race in which emotion has certainly carried the day. You know, Donald Trump leads the pack. That's not about experience in running anything, in terms of running anything close to a country. It's not about specific policy. It's not about solving problems. So, you know, Trump mirrors a lot of anger. There's a lot of anger out there. Jeb Bush had the experience. He had the plan. But this wasn't the time for the man with the plan.
But so did Jeb do something wrong, or was he a victim of an onslaught?
I don't know if it's about onslaught. You know, sometimes, Larry, you have a certain set of skills, and then who's your audience? In this case, the audience, the folks out there that are going to decide this endorsement process, they weren't looking for experience. They're looking for something else. And so I think it was a mismatch in terms of qualities. Jeb's an extraordinary man. He's a man of great character, great class. But I don't think his skill set was what people were looking for in this 2016 election cycle.
Why Rubio?
Well, first, I was going to start with electability. Larry, I firmly believe that another 4 years of Obama-Clinton lead from behind, where America today is America's in a place where our allies don't trust us, our enemies don't fear us. Probably the only two countries in the world that think more of us today are Cuba and Iran. And so we can't afford 4 more years of that. The most electable guy in this race is Marco Rubio. There's no question about that. Donald Trump's the only person running for president now that has higher negatives than Hillary Clinton. Ted Cruz has appealed to a very kind of narrow segment of the universe. And so the guy out there who's probably the number 2 choice for all the folks who have been running for president on the Republican side, the guy who has the best chance of bringing the party together is Marco Rubio. And in addition to that, Larry, since I am a national security guy, that's kind of what drives me. Marco is a guy who has been strong on national security. He gets what it takes to defeat ISIS. I think he's the only person still running in this race who understands that Assad is a magnet for ISIS, and if you don't get rid of Assad, then ISIS will, the Daesh, ISIL, will continue to grow. So Marco is the guy that has the best grasp of what must be done to keep America strong, to keep us safe. And so I'm very proud to support him. You
served in the Senate with Hillary, did you not?
I did.
Wouldn't you say she's pretty strong in the foreign policy area?
Well, I got to tell you, I'm going to be very blunt, very candid. Serving with Hillary in the Senate was something that was very positive. She was a good colleague. I enjoyed working with her. The problem is what the views that she's articulating today. The views which was a stamp of Obama. The things that she's done in Office of Secretary of State. Larry, the Russian reset has not been a success. Putin is a thug. Putin is stepping all over the U.S. So if you look at where Hillary's been since her days in the Senate, if you look at the things that she's trumpeting right now, they're not things that are going to make America stronger. They're not going to make America safer. So, I'm going to say up front, we can't afford 4 more years of Obama-Clinton. The Secretary has made it very clear that she's going to continue with the Obama agenda. That's not an agenda that has been very good for American security.
As a center-right person, as a person from a progressive state, could you support Trump if he's the nominee?
I will support the Republican nominee, but I don't expect it to be Donald Trump. I really don't. Listen, I want to give him great credit. He had a good night in South Carolina, really a great night. He triumphed in New Hampshire. He's, the pick of about 32% of my party's electorate so far. But that, I think, Larry, I think that may well be there's a ceiling here. Maybe it's a high floor, but there's certainly a ceiling there. And in the end, as I said, he's the only guy with higher negatives than Hillary Clinton. I have to believe that as this thing narrows down, you're going to start seeing a realignment. I think that's where Marco is going to come through. Marco is the guy that can pull the party together, all the elements. He started out as a Tea Party guy. He has the support of those of us who have been working in Washington. That's not, it shouldn't be a kiss of death. And so he's the guy that can pull together the various elements of the party, which we're going to need to do if we're going to win. We're not a majority party. And so we need the whole range of folks who care about free enterprise, who care about freedom, who care about a strong America. And so I think Marco's the guy that can pull that together. Trump has had his moments, and again, I give him great credit for that. But we're a long way away from picking the candidate. Right now, when you get done with Nevada, which is right now coming up, that will be, I think, 6% of the total delegates will have been chosen. So we have a long way to go, Larry, in this process.
Ted Cruz, not very popular among your confreres in the Senate. What do you make of his candidacy?
Well, again, I get back to electability. Ted has chosen to appeal to a narrow segment of the populace. Those folks who know him best, his colleagues in the Senate, have not seen fit to support him. I don't think a single one is going to raise his hand in support of Ted, and they do know him best. I think he's a man of great intellect. There's no question about that. But a lot of questions about the way this campaign is being run. He's attacked. He attacks and then he steps back. He attacks and then he steps back. In the end, I don't think that's a path to victory. So I respect his intellect. I think, though, that if you look at the candidate who can pull the party together, not play to a kind of a narrow segment. We've played to narrow segments in the past, and the Dems had George McGovern, and where to get them. We had Barry Goldwater. Barry Goldwater said, extremism in defense of liberty is no vice. But it's not a path to victory. It's not a path to victory. So I don't think Ted offers a path to victory. I think Marco Rubio does, and I would urge all Republicans to stand behind him. You
went to the same high school, Madison, as Bernie Sanders and also Ruth Bader Ginsburg and
Chuck Schumer.
What is it about all the high schools in Brooklyn that they produce success?
Well, and by the way, of course, Larry, you went to a good high school in
Lafayette.
Lafayette. And for me, a kid growing up, and my hero was Sandy Koufax, that's almost a temple. That's a shrine that you went to. I don't know if it's just about the high school, though. We had great teachers. I mean, extraordinary teachers. But I also think it's a neighborhood. I think it's the families. I think it's kind of sense of family. It's hard to describe, but people kind of depended on each other. They looked out for each other, and they urged their kids to be successful. They urged their kids to get good education, to strive to be the best you can be. And so I may have a different philosophy than Bernie Sanders, but I applaud his success. I have a different philosophy than Chuck Schumer. I applaud his commitment to serving his state and his nation. We just have a different path of how we solve the problems. That's all. But I tell you, it was a pretty good neighborhood. There were some pretty good kosher delis on Kings Highway. Some good bagel shops, and all in all, it was a great place to be from.
You announchad that you were undergoing treatment for throat cancer. How are you doing?
So I'm doing well, but as all your viewers who had been through cancer survivors, we're only as good as our next PEP scan. So that means the test that kind of sees what cancer is in your body. I went through a program at Mayo Clinic. I'm a part of a clinical trial. So I found I had cancer October 13th, had surgery a week later. Then a month after that, had 2 weeks chemoradiation. My docs think that that's enough to cure the cancer that I have. It's a cancer caused by a virus. And by the way, minimizing the side effects. So I'm hoping that they're right. I feel good. My energy's good. I've had a lot of folks praying for me. I've had a lot of folks supporting me. And I've had the benefit of the Mayo Clinics. That's a pretty good combination, Larry.
Add me to that list.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Norm. Always good talking with you.
It's been a pleasure. Thank you, my friend.
Former Senator Norm Coleman of Minnesota.